Why don't we just use ocean water to put out wildfires? It seems like such an obvious solution, but the answer to this question opens up a world of complexities you probably didn't expect. Today we'll delve into why the ocean, so vast and omnipresent, cannot save us from the flames. At first glance, the ocean seems like the perfect source for fighting fires, but there are several reasons why rescuers can't simply scoop up seawater and immediately use it to battle the blaze. Firstly, not all helicopters or planes are equipped to handle seawater. Special equipment is required, such as Bambi buckets, large firefighting buckets that can scoop up water. But even when the equipment is adapted, there's another issue: salt. Salt. It sounds so simple and mundane, but it becomes a real enemy of machinery. Seawater causes corrosion in engines, hoses, pumps, tanks, and pipes. Imagine how this could affect the expensive systems firefighters rely on. If the equipment fails, it complicates not just the current operation but future ones as well. Saltwater not only damages equipment. When used to extinguish fires, it remains on vegetation and in the soil. Salt hinders the natural recovery of ecosystems. Sometimes this means that a burned forest becomes even less habitable after the fire is extinguished. Another reason is distance. The ocean may be close to a city, but fires usually rage in mountainous and forested areas far from the coast. Transporting water to such heights is quite a challenge. Of course, helicopters and planes can scoop up water and deliver it to the fire's epicenter, but it's expensive and takes more time than it seems. In the fight against fire, every second counts. Additionally, extinguishing fires from the air is always risky. But when it comes to scooping water from the ocean, the risk is even greater. High waves, strong winds, and limited visibility create dangerous conditions for pilots. The turbulence created above the fire is already incredible, and when you add to it destructive wind phenomena, it makes flying almost impossible. When the wind exceeds 30 miles per hour, the fire retardant and water turn into mist rather than consistent rain, a firefighter recently explained. Finally, there's the question of efficiency. Fresh water is available from local reservoirs, hydrants, or natural sources like rivers and lakes. It's easier to store, transport, and use. That's why it's the first choice in any emergency. The ocean may seem like an endless resource, but in practice, its use for firefighting is an exception rather than the rule. For example, in Croatia, especially in coastal areas, seawater is indeed used for firefighting. The country actively uses amphibious planes, such as the Canadair CL-415, capable of quickly scooping water directly from the sea and delivering it to fire hotspots. Many forests are located near the coast, reducing transportation time and increasing firefighting efficiency. The equipment and machinery used for firefighting are specially designed or modified to work with saltwater, minimizing the risk of corrosion and damage. So, if it works in Croatia, why not in Los Angeles? The issue lies in the soil. In Croatia's coastal regions, the soil often has a karst origin and limestone composition. This makes it less susceptible to the negative effects of saltwater, as limestone partially neutralizes salts and provides natural drainage. Such soils are quickly washed by rains that remove excess salt. In California, many soils contain a high clay content, which drains more slowly and retains salts. This can lead to soil salinization, making it harder for vegetation to recover after a fire. The Mediterranean climate, with sufficient rainfall during the cold season, helps naturally wash salt from the soil after fires. An arid climate with long periods without rain means that salt can remain in the upper layers of the soil for a long time, harming vegetation. Many plant species in Croatia's coastal areas are adapted to conditions with some amount of salt in the soil, as they naturally grow near the sea. Vegetation in southern California, such as chaparral and oaks, does not have such salt tolerance. Their root systems are sensitive to salinity, slowing down natural recovery. In Croatia, seawater is mostly used locally and in coastal areas where fires often occur. In Los Angeles, large-scale fires can cover vast areas far from the coast. Using seawater on such scales could lead to significant salinization. These rare examples show that the ocean can sometimes help, but they also prove how complicated, expensive, and risky it is. And this raises the question: can this practice be made more accessible? Or perhaps the future of firefighting lies elsewhere? When a fire starts, every minute is precious. And in California, which is accustomed to annual wildfires, fighting the flames is a complex, multi-layered operation where every detail matters. Tankers and helicopters are a key part of this fight. Their main advantage is speed and access to hard-to-reach places, such as mountain slopes or deep forests. Most often, these aerial vehicles are filled with fresh water from reservoirs, rivers, or lakes near the fire's location. This saves time and minimizes risks. Sometimes, not just water, but special chemical mixtures are used to slow the spread of fire. These are dropped on the fire's edge to buy time for ground crews. But aerial support is just part of a larger system. On the ground, entire teams work to create so-called fire breaks. They clear the land of flammable material, dry leaves, branches, and grass that could fuel the fire. Another method is controlled burns. It sounds strange, but sometimes, to stop a large fire, you need to start a smaller one. This method destroys fuel before the fire can spread further, but firefighting in California is gradually entering a new era, where technology plays a key role. Drones with thermal cameras are used to detect new fire outbreaks and monitor the situation in real time. Satellites and AI-based prediction systems model possible fire spread paths. This allows rescuers to act proactively. Such technologies not only help respond to fires, but also plan preventive measures, for example, creating new barriers or updating infrastructure. Firefighting in California is a complex, ongoing process, and while technology gives us new tools, fire still reminds us how dependent we are on nature and how important it is to learn to live in harmony with it. Los Angeles is a city built on dreams, but this dream has its price. The city is surrounded by water, yet throughout its history, it has constantly struggled for access to this resource. From the beginning, Los Angeles faced water shortages. Local sources were insufficient to sustain the population. So in the early 20th century, the city began importing water from Northern California and even from the Colorado River. This is one of the largest water infrastructures in the world, but even it doesn't save the city from water scarcity. And firefighting is always a compromise. Logistics, cost, environmental impact. All these factors are considered when choosing resources to fight fires. The ocean is nearby, but its water remains a challenging resource. Salinity, logistics, cost, and ecosystem risks make seawater unsuitable for mass use in firefighting. The solution sounds simple, but reality is always more complex. And yet, firefighting is about more than just water. It's about smart planning, modern innovations, and a willingness to adapt to new realities. Because fire is not something we can conquer, it's something we must learn to live with. Each fire is a reminder that our world is changing rapidly. But with challenges come new ways to respond. The sea doesn't always answer our calls for help, and perhaps the answer lies not in the water, but within ourselves. In our ability to learn to coexist with nature rather than trying to dominate it.